Well, I took CNS 120 for the first half of the semester, so I was expecting some sort of extension of that class, but I wasn't really sure what that would look like.
In terms of ease versus difficulty.
In CNS 120, of course, we focused on discovering what our values and beliefs and interests and skills were. And in CNS 220, the question was begged, now that I know what makes me tick, how do I then incorporate that into a career setting?
And so then I would ask you, then now what?
You know, I found that we did a lot of self-reflection, which I thought was interesting because, you know, Heidi told us that a lot of what we're doing is what schools recommend students do outside of class. And I thought it was unique that we were getting credit for actually doing this because I think it's difficult for students to sort of, you know, I feel like they prioritize things like intramural sports or like the test that they have next week. I feel like they prioritize that over taking assessments and like, you know, the self-reflection that we do in this class.
Well, it was a little bit different because I didn't realize how much I was going to have to initiate because the first half of the class, CNS 120, was more about an individual process, and CNS 220 was getting your feet a little bit wet and jumping into it a little bit more.
Keep on, keep on.
Bye. See ya.
My biggest takeaway had to be LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I had no idea that it worked the way it did because I had previously created the account before this class, but I had never used it. And so in this class, when we did informational interviews and things like that, we really got to post the questions and see who responded. So alumni and people that were in the field, like I'm interested in social work, so I got to talk to someone that was interested in social work and had actually worked in social work. So it's pretty interesting to just see how you can network using LinkedIn and how fast people actually respond to you and want to help you.
One of the projects that I liked the most was a career genogram. And basically what that was is we called our parents and asked them to tell us their careers and then to tell us their parents' careers and their grandparents' careers. So my parents grew up in Mexico, so I never really asked them any of those questions. So I was able to find out about my ancestry, and then at the same time I was able to see the different skills that were passed on from one generation to the next.
That taking initiative is absolutely necessary in the world of work. We had to conduct a series of informational interviews, and when I first learned that we would have to contact professionals and interview them, I was really overwhelmed. But it turned out to be a really great experience. I quickly learned that they're ready and eager to talk to college-age students who are interested in what they do. And I ended up having some really great, meaningful conversations and made some valuable connections.
The most beneficial one would have to be the different avenues you can take to get to a certain goal. Like previously I said, I'm interested in social work, but at first I didn't actually know what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to help children, and I had actually came into the class thinking I wanted to go to law school. So like when we did the information interviews and when we did all these things, I talked to some people who had worked in both, some who had worked in law and some who had worked in social work, and kind of compared the two.
These are some of the career paths.
And so just realizing that there are different pathways that you can get to a certain goal.
Any of my declared students, did you see your major up there?
So now I really think I'm more self-aware, and I kind of realized this when I interviewed for an internship that I had this summer. I was able to, in the interview, tell them some of my strengths, my values, my interests, and these were all things that I wasn't really aware of until after this class, and I was able to actually go through and list them and talk about them in my interviews.
I think I just know a lot more I'm more confident about my decisions. So now when I am actually applying to graduate schools, which I am, I can actually say why I want to do this because I have taken those tests, and it shows you your strengths or your interests. And so it's really nice to be able to say, well, I want to do this career because I see that I have a strength in helping people, or I have a strength in working in teams, or just learning more about yourself.
Your turn.
I've actually thought that this should be a requirement, just like health or like the first year seminar, because there are so many resources at Wake Forest that this course introduces you to, and there are so many different aspects of the career world that you learn about through this course. So it's something that I would highly recommend and encourage to students that if they're looking for it, I think they should take it.
Yes, I agree that if you don't speak interesting baby philosophy